highly privileged to once again welcome you to UPSA. This is our first Joy FM Business Town Hall meeting, Christian Post-Domestic Debt Exchange Program, the IMF agreement. What's next? Indeed, we are very, very happy to host this program on our campus, and it gives us this unique opportunity for our students to share their perspectives and insights on this special subjects. As the Pro-Vice-Chancellor of this prestigious university, indeed a business university, I am privileged to host Ghana through the medium of technology as you listen to our students who are the panelists to discuss issues confronting our nation, which is alleged to be in economic crisis. There's no news. Indeed, the whole world is facing or going through some level of economic crisis. It is also no news that the country is at the moment going to its 18th support from the IMF. And we all know that the DDEP and IMF program will have a considerable impact on our economy. And as expected, various experts have had something to say using diverse platforms. Today, it is a turn of our students. And I can assure you that the selected students from various disciplines have what it takes to discuss the issues dispassionately and also educate their colleagues as well as the country as a whole. Because a platform like multimedia is a platform that the whole Ghana listens to. I thought you platform multimedia. So on this, let me express, on behalf of the Vice Chancellor, let me express my profound appreciation to Multimedia Group Joy Business for partnering UPSA to discuss this very, very important matter that affects all of us. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I am optimistic that we will have an enlightening, stimulating, and inspiring session that will encourage us all to play that active role in shaping the future of the economy. Indeed, it will be more relevant for this country if we are going to discuss the issues free of partisan politics. Because in a part of the world, it is rare to have people playing the neutral position. But it is only when we discuss issues without partisan sentiments, free of emotions, that we can help our leaders to develop this very economy that we are praying for to take shape. On this note, I wish you all a very fruitful discussion, and by the end of this program, I expect that we will learn, we will know, but not to end there, but contribute a quota towards our quest to revive the economy of Ghana. Thank you.
My name is Emma Davis, and I'm the MC for today's event. Our topic is Post-Domestic Exchange Program IMF Agreement. What's next? And we have a panel here, and our moderator will be Dr. Jabir Mohammed. Please, a round of applause for him. We also have Gloria Ampom, who is an MPhil finance student. Ebenezer Odum, BSc Accounting and Finance. Josephine Edem, BSc Business Economics. And Solomon Boache, BSc Business Economics. Okay, so I'll hand over to Dr. Mohammed, but before that, I would like us to know that we are, of course, all our social media channels, and live on the Joy News channel. Dr. Mohammed, over to you.
Thank you so much, and welcome to Joy FM Multimedia Town Hall Meeting in collaboration with University of Professional Studies, Accra. Our today's topic, as earlier on stated, is post-DDE program and IMF agreement. What is this? Before I delve into the major questions, I would like to take us back to where we were, where we have come from, and where are we today. Ghana debt stock has risen unsustainably levels since 2019, passing 55% of GDP threshold. In 2000, Ghana total debt was 85.6% of GDP, and by 2002, it has risen to about 136.9% of GDP. The government of Ghana in 2001 opted for the heavily indebted poor countries initiative, and later in 2005, the multilateral debt initiative. These programs help to reduce Ghana debt to GDP ratio from 136.9% to about 26% as of 2006. After 2006, the debt level of the country continued to rise from 26% to about 55.5% by the close of 2016. This debt figure continued to rise from 2016 from 55.6% to about 97.3% by the close of 2022, which means that the debt stock has risen by 41.5%. And this has culminated into serious budget overruns because we were just earning less than what we were consuming. And this has resulted to the problem that we found ourselves in. Now, the question is that, are we really borrowing to be able to invest so that the investment can reap its benefit or not? Now, the IMF program have come, and the impact is that we really have to put measures in place so that we can contain the program. And that is how come that we have to do indoor sacrifices to be able to allow the IMF program to work. And one of them is about the debt issuing program. We have to sacrifice internally before we seek for external support. Now, to my first question, we would like to continue to talk about the health of the economy, because the health of the economy is really important before we will come to the IMF program indicators and the debt exchange program indicators. So I would like to start with Gloria. Now, in your own assessment, how will you assess the health of the Ghanaian economy? And do you think that the current health of the Ghanaian economy is what has really led us to the debt exchange program that we are currently undergoing in Ghana?
Thank you, Lord. Good afternoon. I think that the debt is what has led us or led us to this IMF program. For every country, we all know for every country to develop, it is based on your revenue and your expenditure. And when your revenue is more than your expenditure, you're good. But when your expenditure is more than your revenue, it leads to a deficit. So then you would have to go look for money, maybe either internally or externally, to support your system. Now we realize that we make a lot of money from our revenues, tax revenues, comprising of direct and indirect. We talk about direct, as of 2021, was contributing to like 46.1% to the total tax revenue. And then the indirect as well had a good side. But then, talking about expenditure, we've also realized that we've gone way out of our expenditure. Taking for instance, importing refined fuel or oil. I don't think that that is a smart move. Knowing that already we are exploring fuel here in Ghana, why won't we refine what we are exploring here and use within? But we are exporting crude and then importing another refined one at about $1 billion as of 2021. So when we look at all these things, even when we talk about exploration, why do we have to pay our parliamentarians every 4 years, whether you are in or you are out? So once it's 4 years, whether you lose or not, you have to take that money. I think these are all little loopholes or gaps that we have in our system, which is compounding our expenditure and our debt situation. So I think we should pay a critical look at our expenditure. I think we would close a lot of gaps and then increase our reserves and then help solve our internal problems.
That's good. With Gloria, the argument is that once we are able to increase our reserves, once we are able to cut down our expenditure, once we are able to increase the revenue base of the country, and at the same time we are able to reduce the ex-gas share and all of that, we are good to go. So, Patrick, do you agree with Gloria? Or what is your point?
Thank you so much, Doc. Good afternoon, everyone. And it was so encouraging to hear from Gloria that our tax to revenue was around 45% or all that. But when we basically look at most of the sub-Saharan regions, tax to revenue is just below 13% and all that, which means that there's still a long way to go. But in my own opinion, when I look at the country, there are a whole lot of issues that are worrying us. But the most critical to me is the fiscal deficit financing by central government. When we look around 2007, there was an agreement that they were trying to adopt an inflation target network, where they were believing that with the inflation target, it will help them stabilize prices, and then we know that that is prerequisites for us to have an economic development. Now, looking at the Bank of Ghana statement that they gave at the beginning of the year, they gave an inflation target of 8% with a symmetric bound of 2%, which means that the banks were looking at being within a range of 6% to 10%. But let's just cast our mind to March. What was the inflation? It was 52.8%. Look back at February, we are so lucky that at least it has reduced to 45.5% and all that, but it's very encouraging. It is still way beyond the targets that was set by the central bank. The question that comes is, what is the issue? What is the problem? Of course, most of us will blame it that it's external shocks. All of us will say that because we have weak systems, our liquidity level in the country is so down. But no, when you look from 2020 to 2022, the revenue, that was, the government expected to have a revenue of around $77 billion. But in 2020 alone, the central bank financed government about 44.5 billion cedis, which is way beyond 50%. And it's even beyond the fiscal requirements that we are supposed to do. It's a problem. Just from 2022 to 2011, a tune of 90 billion was given by central bank. And we live in a country where most of the government's policies contradicts the monetary policies. We are all aiming to have an inflation beat down to 8%. But if we are always having this fiscal dominance, where fiscal policies undermines monetary policies, then I think it's a real issue to our problem. Thank you so much.
Alright, so for me, we think that the central bank consistently financing the government is a major problem. So, Odu, what do you think? Do you agree with him? Do you think that central bank should have a ceiling or a cap? There is already a cap of 5%, not less than 5% of GDP. But our fiscal authorities have thrown that away, and they still insist that they still go back to them and continue to finance from them. We don't know whether it's being financed through the balance sheet of the central bank or the central bank is printing money to finance that particular deficit. Do you think that, do you agree with him, or do you have any other points to buttress the fact that these issues are the one really affecting our domestic deficit program to the extent that others don't want to get to wanting to be part of it?
Thank you very much, Doc. Now, Dr. Richard Kwame from home, the financial inclusion activist, once said, there are habits that will lead you to financial independence irrespective of the global economic shock. There are those habits that will leave you worse off with a very short, giving a small shock or a little shock from the global economy. Now, I would blame our current situation on our habits and also the fact that we've lost control over our exchange rates. Now, our habits towards expenditures in this country, both statutory and discretionary expenditures, is very worse. We engage in expenditures that are not investment property. So, for instance, we go to borrow and then we use it to finance building of schools. These are not investment properties, and the return of this is that you have to, source money from other places to go and pay back this month. Now, I also believe that some qualitative characteristics of our leaders that lead us to corruption and bribery in our economy is what has led us to where we are right now. As of 2018, according to the Ghana Initiative for Public Services (SERI), we lose an average of $3 billion, the same amount we are asking from the IMF to get our economy back to normal. These are the things that derail our economy, and I believe that if we should change our habits towards these things, we are going to get better. Now, if you look at our exchange rates to the dollar, in the last year we lost about, our cedi depreciated about 30% to the dollar. That alone increased our debt stock to 575 million, which is about 108 million cedis up from a little above 400 million. This is why we are at where we are. Borrowing from the external markets is subjected to interest rates risk, and the interest rate, since we don't have control over it, we always have to increase more. We always have to get more cities to exchange the dollar to go and pay our debt, and this is why we are at where we are right now.
Okay, he talks about investment efficiency. Do you think that borrowing the money, and coming to put it into free senior high school, put it into school feeding program and other social policy programs, do you think is what has led us to where we are? Because they are not bringing out any immediate returns to pay back the loans.
Thank you very much. Definitely he is right about that. Because when you go to borrow money, for instance, if Odum goes to take money and then he comes back to pay people he's already owing, or he invests the money in places where he doesn't have returns, he is going to end up deeper in loans. So now when we go to capital markets and we take these monies and then we're investing in social policies like the 1D1, so the free high school education, it's a very good initiative first off, but we do not get returns as soon as we do that. It will take a long period of time, or even no returns of it. So I think when we go to these capital markets to borrow money from these people, from these banks and international institutions, we should focus on reviving our industries in the country. TOL has been redundant for 5 years now, and the Minister of Finance is estimating about $500 million to revive it, and the same amount of money to import machineries to start running it. That is a very laudable project that should be embarked on, because right now we can project that in about 3 or 4 years we will get maybe $1 billion as returns or profits. So those are the things we should focus on. We have other factories that are very redundant. Commander Sugar Factory hasn't been working for a very long time. 1D1F, we're not really seeing, we're seeing things like a confit juice. We could pump more money there, because in the end, we're employing people, reducing unemployment from 12.7% down, and we'll be able to absorb much more people who are acquiring skills in the various schools and learning, so we can self-finance ourselves, and the rates at which we borrow money from these markets will reduce. Thank you.
You are live and Enjoy Business News Multimedia. This is the second town hall meeting in collaboration with University of Professional Studies, Accra. Now, I would like to take it from where we ended. Precisely, we are looking at the situation whereby when we do a lot of investment, at least we can export most of the produce and all of that. There has been this discussion that our international reserves have dwindled to about less than 3 weeks of import cover, and this is putting a lot of stress on the economy. So I want to take it from you, Bachi. What do you think this dwindling international reserves we think that it's going to have a serious impact on our debt issuing program, the domestic one, because pensioners and other individual bondholders are saying that they don't want to be part of the issuing program. We think that this low international reserves is going to send a wrong signal to investors.
Thank you so much, Doc, once again. Yes, definitely yes. But let me just take us back a little bit. When we look at, as of December 2022, the governor for IMF gave a figure that we have about 1.5 month import cover. Now, here the case they are telling us that we are left with 3 weeks cover. Of course, surely the inflation is still around 45%. And frankly speaking, I would say that the inflation does not really reflect the weaknesses that we have in our system. Because looking at December, we saw that the announcement of the DDEP program came on board. We also saw that there were a lot of capital reversals going. And then we also saw that government suspended the payment of principal and then certain interest. So we can say that what the inflation rate is, it's actually not reflecting the fundamental. Now here the case that we are saying that our imports has also fallen down to 3 weeks. What does it mean to investors? Investors will be so scared to come and invest in the country. And here the case that in as much as last year we're still having 1.5, and even with 3 weeks that we are having now, there's no more investments coming. Government is not having a chance to issue our bonds again. Therefore, it means nothing is coming in there. Look at the inflation between interbound rate depreciation. It was around 21%. But if you look at the retail market, it was around 2%. Nothing is coming. And if the investors should get this, why do they invest? You give them certain interest and then they take the risk. They come to invest. So if they hear that with this, they will be so much worried that, oh, they will not want to come and all that. And even if this continues, it means your exchange rate will also weaken. And if it weakens, it means that the interest you will have to be paying more will be high. Thank you so much.
All right, great. So the interest we'll be having, we need to pay more. Gloria, now let's look at this point. If you look at, let's say for instance, one of the bond pensioners were arguing that the government should borrow at the short end of the market to pay them because the government had defaulted on their domestic bonds as at 28th of last week, I think April. So precisely, do you think that borrowing from the short end of the market to pay the debt holders or the bond holder, do you think that's realistic?
Thank you. Okay, sir. Hello? Borrowing from the short end of the market, I don't think it's going to help us to finance our debt. In that, already, these are pensioners who are suffering already. They are home. And after so many years of work, they've saved a little to take on themselves. And now this is where you're going to take their money to use for the economy or the development of the economy. I don't think it's going to help. Because already, they have children who have families who are taking care of their own families. And so when you're going to take their money, guess what? They may not have any other source or they become burdened to their families or their children. So who takes care of them? I remember one was saying that they couldn't even get money to even buy medication. So if government tries to go in or into their monies, that's in their bonds, to take this to finance our economy or expenditure, I don't think it's going to help.
Do you think that wasteful expenditure, okay, let's say by the government, is what has resulted in our reserves dwindling? And do you think that this has a serious impact? Do you think that the individual bondholders, the pensioners and all of that, do you think that they are really looking at what is happening, what the government is doing, that is actually prompting them to say that they will not agree to so unless you pay them? Do you think?
All right, thank you very much. So on the international reserve side, over the years, all that we've been doing is that we source our reserves from borrowing from the capital market. And just the end of last year, we saw Fitch downgrading us, and that's give us we lost access to the capital market, and that is why our import cover has come down to just 3 weeks. Now I believe that the time has come for us to look at alternative ways of sourcing funds into our reserves. For instance, promoting tourism, so that we can raise funds through that, encouraging FDI, foreign direct investment, so that we can have more international currencies coming in. Also, creating an atmosphere that will encourage Ghanaians abroad to invest in the local economy. All this will help us increase our reserves, because now we don't have access to the capital market like we used to. And with the issue of the pension funds, I believe we've gotten to a point where almost everyone is sacrificing something. Both young ones and then senior citizens, almost everyone is sacrificing something. So we also have to sacrifice something little to help our economy. Now even those who play bets, they have to sacrifice 10% of their winning bonus for the government. So I believe that the senior citizens, the pensioners, should also sacrifice something small for us. But then maybe government should look at their own exchange program. They can make it more flexible. They can choose to pay a portion of their interest to them, or the matured funds. They can pay a portion this year, then the second year, next year they pay a portion to them, so that it can keep them active.
Good. So the pension funds, the pensioners should also sacrifice and all of that. So just to do this, that the success of the debt issue program is going to have an impact on job creation.
Thank you. I'd like to touch a little bit on the pensions, bonds and funds. You see, when there's a number, you don't really know the impact of it. I have a dad at home who is a pensioner, and this is going to affect him gravely, and in the end it's going to affect me. So to say that they should sacrifice, we are all sacrificing already, but what is government sacrificing is the question we should be asking. 40 fleets of cars following the president when they're going on tour. It's crazy. To finance fueling those cars alone is a lot of money. Allowances, you're taking way too much allowances than you deserve. How about you tell us, okay, I'll cut down my salary by 30%, I won't receive allowances. Gloria spoke, and I was so in love with what she said. She mentioned that when we look at our expenditure, there are a lot of loopholes in there that when we put them together, there will be a huge amount of money for us to do things with ourselves. So instead of saying they should sacrifice, because if my father sacrifices, how am I paying my fees for the next 2 semesters that I'm left with in school? So we should look at other ways, other than telling them to, because they've sacrificed enough, they've worked for the country, they've toiled, they've sweat for the country. What more should they do at this point? Thank you. There's going to be a lot of job creations. We're supposed to invest. So, like I mentioned earlier on, the Commander Sugar Factory, the Comfy Fruit Juice factory, we have a company that produces tomatoes and all. We can also look at investing heavily in agriculture. It's now the top 3 backbone of the economy. How about we make it solely creative? Technology is on a high rise. You go to other technological schools or other universities in the country, and then we are offering agricultural engineering. How are we putting that to use? Because after school, they do not even have jobs. When we have the money and then we can invest in those areas, we give them much more skills. We have the machineries, we have consultants here who will guide them on how to do all these things. There's going to be jobs in the country. And another thing, agriculture has so much of value chain. There are people who would cultivate directly on the land. There are people who will drive, people who will build silos, people who will take it to the factories, people reading chemical engineering and whatnot. They are all going to contribute to it. So just that particular sector, if we should focus so much into it, there's just so many graduates and people who are not even in school or with 0 qualifications are going to be absorbed in there. Thank you.
So with the success of the debt teaching program, there is going to be high job creation. I agree with you, because we are going to suspend most of the interest payments, we are going to suspend principal payments and postpone it into the future. So I believe that we should be able to put it into good use. Now, let's try and just oppose that with the IMF coming on board. Kwachi, do you think that with the success of the debt exchange program and the IMF program also coming to life or coming to stream with its appointed conditionalities, do you possibly see that Ghana will be able to utilize the money, that is going to be accrued from the interest payment, the suspension of the interest payment, and the suspension of the principal payment? Do you think that IMF will be able to put in a lot of measures to allow Ghana to put this money into better perspective so that we can see the jobs that Josephine is talking about?
Thank you so much, Doug. Yes, but let's take it from this angle. It's like you own a house, and then you have people, you have mouths that you feed, and then all of a sudden your money gets finished, and then you've run to all the people that you think can support you, yet none of them was able, or you've exhausted all your chances. Now you come to me because you believe I can help you, and therefore when you come to me, it means that I am your last resource. I am your lender resource that you think, well, I can help you. Now, do you think I'll give you the money for free? No. I would have to give you conditions. And the conditions is what we have to go by. If you refuse to go by them, then it means that I will not give you the money. So, as IMF is coming, there are good side of it and there are bad side of it. And when we look at one book that was written by Garrett, The Lands of the Common, we live in a country where most of us have flaws in us. And these flaws create greed. And therefore, when we enter into power, it becomes so difficult for us to consider the commons, but we'll seek for ourselves, which is really the problem. Now look at the conditions that we bring. Looking at 2015, one of the conditions that they gave them was that they should freeze public sector employment. I am here. When we look at the statistics, the graduates that complete school every year is around 110,000. And it's only 10% that gets employment. Josephine mentioned that we have 12.5% that's unemployed people leaving. What does it mean? It means that if they come with the same condition again, then I find my future so worrying. Another issue they would say is we should increase our taxes. Just last year, 2022, in December, they brought in DDEP. The kinky that used to sell at 50 pesos now costs what? 5 cents. So, it's worrying. These are issues that are worrying us. So it means that in as much as the program will come on board, it will come with certain conditionalities. But then, let's look at the positive side of it. If only they remain so disciplined with the money, and then they will be forced to cut out some of the expenditure and all that. Just to mention about 40. When you multiply 40, let's assume all of them is V8. Now multiply that 40 by 2,000. Let's say following that V8 is 2,000. That's 80,000. Multiply that, let's assume that government tours all the regions, 16 regions. That was 80,000 times 16. That's around 1,280,000 benefits. What's the So it means that we actually need fiscal discipline. We actually need to discipline ourselves when it comes to what revenue. And there's a whole lot of fiscal. People are dodging what taxes. There are people are finding ways to evade taxes. Now they say what tax avoidance is illegal, whilst tax evasion is what is illegal, and people are finding ways to dodge it. These are things that we need to look at, and I feel it will help us. Thank you so much.
Fiscal discipline is very, very important. There's been this argument that minority in parliament says, I listened to them yesterday and today, they say that government should have a ceiling on borrowing. I have a different view on that. Do you think that government should have a ceiling on borrowing, or government should have a ceiling on expenditure?
Thank you. I'm of the view that government should have a ceiling on expenditure, not borrowing. It's either the other way. There are two ways, either borrowing or expenditure. I say the two because when you have a ceiling of borrowing, then it means that you know that you have the avenue to go and borrow. We can borrow, even if I'm thinking I can go and borrow, so that is managed. Then, for expenditure, I think there's a need to cap the expenditure. So you know that you have a limit. Okay, I'm spending to this amount. Okay, so within this year, this is how much we have to spend. We don't have to go over this amount. So when you get there, then you'll be disciplined within that. You know you have to be disciplined within that amount. So do things which are more important. So we are going to do prioritization. We prioritize what is important and what is not very important or pressing. We can put that below. So with a cap on expenditure, it will help us to reduce our disparity and prioritize our things that we need to do.
So, think about that. So, what do you think?
Yeah, so I would suggest a cap on expenditure because, I mean, if with revenue, you are always limited to how much you can make back. So the expenditure, I mean, it's always right to come and increase your revenue. So you can't always make enough to cover up your expenditure. So at every point in time, what you have to do is to show me your expenditure. Now, if you check our expenditure to Office of the Government Machinery, as of 2016, we were spending around 780 million. Fast forward within 5 years, it increased about 900% to around 3.5 billion as of 2020. Now, these are the stuff that are, I mean, derailing our economy. So we need to look at our expenditures. There are certain expenditures that does not, I mean, help our budgets. We just balloon them. Aside what we lose to corruption, what we lose to loopholes in our wages and salary system, I mean, that alone we lose about 5 billion annually, and that can employ over 1,000 graduates if you are paying them around 1,000 cities. So we have to carefully look at our expenditure because as per the Parkinson's law, your expenditure will always rise to come and increase your income. So let us not focus on making more money to cover our expenditure, but rather let us focus on making the best out of the small revenue we have, so that we can be at mid levels at the moment.
It's positive that we can get that IMF.
It is positive in certain circumstances. It's positive if we're not going to go as frequently as we go. Averagely every 3 years we're visiting them. But it's negative if after they've given us the money, after they've disbursed that huge amount of money, we're not going to be disciplined. Because if you check the trends, you realize that government expenditure after we visit and then the money has been disbursed always goes up. And it is not a healthy way. You don't go and borrow and come and live like you live in a palace. Like we are always saying, government should be leading with example, and then when they are back, they need to invest. Building or putting money in social policies. We're not saying they are bad things, but first things first. Gloria mentioned prioritization should always be the goal, and also we should always peg our expenses down, because when we feel like we are looking for money could be looked for in various ways. We could go and borrow more because we are spending more, we need to cover our tracks. This is the time for us as a nation, as people, to sit and think and cap our expenditures like my panelists have said, and invest more for us to get more returns. Thank you.
So, Gloria, this is the last point I want us to make. What is your hope after the IMF deal?
After the IMF deal goes through, I expect that when we come back home, we'll be more disciplined in our expenditures. And then we'll try as much as possible to increase our revenue-making avenues, such that it will more like reduce the frequency at which we go or visit the IMF. We can be more disciplined within, we can be more focused in their production, rather than producing raw materials and exporting them in their raw state. We can add value and then export them and make more foreign revenue or increase our revenue base. And then there are a lot of people who are out there who are ready to learn. They are used, they want unemployed. We should create training grounds for them. I know there are people who are learning to do hair, they're trying to produce soap and all that. Let's call them together, change them, and when you change them, help them set up their business, make follow-up, empower them economically, financially, so they can also come back to contribute to the nation, and then we reduce our frequency of going to the IMF.
Alright, so
Thank you so much once again. One angle that they've all stressed on is agriculture. But last time they were saying that our prison cells are almost full. We can have state farms. What are they eating for? They eat 3 times a day. We can have them clear lands for us to be able to invest. We can start state farms. It will really help. Crime is increasing in the country. The good thing is that we've been able to implement the free education. Of course, we cannot have industrialization without manpower. So that is the first step, which is also good. But then we need to realize that the demands of the current economy are changing. They are changing. Now they come out from school without any particular skill they have, without any competence. We need to channel all those things. The school is good, but then let's put in much more in the skills acquisition. Let's put in much more in the competence, so that when they come out of school, they can get better. Look at Cuba, for example. Cuba is training doctors and exporting them than any remittances. Ghana, we have over 31 million people. There are people over here. We have to train them. And if these are some of the ways by which you can raise money, it is very good. Industrialization is good. There are many people, farmers who are suffering, post-harvest losses. The roads are not good. They cannot store their materials. This is where we need to go out to. This is the time for us to go on a rescue mission. Thank you so much.
Right, so post IMF agreement, I expect that we empower the state-owned enterprises to be on their own. I mean, UPSA is leading with an example. Within 3 years, look at our expenditure, the facilities we've raised, 3 hostels, we are raising a tower. This is what we should encourage government entities. This is what we should encourage government entities to do. They have to be on their own. MMDAs, other government entities, they should be on their own. I also expect that we move from a tax-based economy to a production-based economy where we can be able to produce certain things on their own. It is sad to know that even with free SHS, we have to import eggs to feed them. I mean, we can go into poultry and then we can be able to produce all these things. A lot of people are saying that we've not taste for local products. Now, the things that we are not producing, that is why, I mean, it's not like the demand is not there. We are not producing at all. If we can't produce to even meet the demands of free SHS, then what shows that we can produce to meet the demand of the country as well? Post IMF agreement, I also expect that we focus on our financial system. Let us make sure that our financial machinery is working. I mean, currently it looks like banks in Ghana have lost businesses. The flow of income, payment and production, that has to move from households through that to financial institutions, for the financial institution to facilitate that intermediary functions. I mean, so that funds can move to businesses for them to increase their production and all that. It's not currently working. I mean, currently funds are just moving from government to banks and banks to government. That's not helping the system. So I believe that we should focus on building the financial system that will finance startups, that will finance, I mean, businesses in Ghana, so that our economy can get better.
Thank you so much.
My final words will be post IMF. Odum mentioned the fact that we should be homegrown, move from tax economy to industrialization. I mean, after that, other ways we can earn more money is to diversify our imports. We should clearly look at that because we have the resources, we have the human resources, we have it all. We should just tune our minds to dedicate our time to actually work, and we'll see good and great improvements.
Thank you so much. This is really a microphone to the youth. We have all heard from them. They have discussed so many issues, very brilliant ideas. I believe that policymakers will pick them up and work with them. So now I want to invite comments, questions, contributions from the audience. So if you have a question, if you have a comment to make, you can put up your hand, then the microphone will get to you.
We've been having discussions here and there about the state of the economy. And what I think quickly is that the government, those in power, are leaders. They know what to do, like they know the right things. Like what they're suggesting for already know, they have economics gurus, they have advisors and all that. So I think they know what to do, but the main problem I think we have as a country is that our leaders have some behavioral indiscipline, that they come into power and then they try to amass wealth. And mostly if you have conversation with maybe some student leaders or wards that are affiliated to some political party leaders, you could see that most of them know that they are maybe uncles and all that are empowered to amass wealth. But I think last week I had a conversation with a student, a colleague student, and I was saying, oh, the next election, your uncle is not going to be in power again, you are going to cast them out. And what he asked me is that, do I think his uncle is not smart enough to save some things down in order to sustain himself, even if he loses power? So I think the main problem we have as a country is like, it's more of a tragedy of a common where people come into power to better themselves, regardless of not putting into consideration the work of others. So yeah, that's what I think.
To the analysts, do you think this loan that the Parliament has now gone for or have agreed on will help to improve the health of our economy, and also with respect to the debt exchange program and also IMF agreement?
We'll do that to everybody. Okay, so you're watching.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for the question. Loans are not bad, but what makes it bad is what you use it for. So in general, if you go and take the loan and then you use it for something that will not bring back some money that you have to pay back, then it becomes a debt on you. That is the issue. And one of the issues we have now in Ghana is the fact that they don't really look at the outcome. It's like, I'm also at fault, and therefore it's difficult for me to also point this fault from the other person, and therefore whatever comes, we go with it. That is the issue we are having. So let us pray that with they hearing our voices now, at least they will come with that fiscal discipline, and then they will put us at heart so that the loans can be put to good use. Thank you so much.
Yes, so I think it was approved for a good cause. Okay. Definitely, it is supposed to support the Ghana Care of Atampa program, which is a program designed to recover after the COVID-19. Now, we've seen it before. I mean, we go to borrow and then we messed up the money. We use it for stuff that did not benefit us. But I think where we are right now, they know that at this point, they only have to use it for what's why they are going to borrow the money. Okay, so we are believing and we are also praying that now they will behave well and they use the money for what it's meant for.
Okay, thank you. I want to add a submission on the question of borrowing cap and then expenditure. I did a study and I realized that in advanced countries, their borrowing level is very high. When you compare that to their fiscal balances, it's very low. But when you look at even sub-Saharan Africa, our borrowing level is not close to advanced, and yet our fiscal balances are way beyond that of the advanced countries. So the question I ask myself is, if borrowing is bad to a certain cap, how come these people are able to borrow to that extent and yet are able to manage their fiscal balances or fiscal deficit and is very low? And the simple answer is we simply in Africa do not invest in productive ventures. Because once you invest in a productive venture, then that particular loan will be self-financing. You don't need to even go to print money or find another source to pay that. The investment itself will pay. And so as long as you can borrow to whichever level and it will yield to pay that interest, you can continue, and that will bring about development. But the other aspect is that it's unfortunate. It appears in African countries that we don't have a strategic plan, that when even a loan is borrowed and a project is started, and unfortunately a different government takes on power, then it comes to a standstill. And this has been our problem. So it means that money that might have been borrowed for that particular project, it goes to a standstill. It's not able to pay, but the debt stock is piling. The interest payment is piling on. So I think going forward, African countries, as long as they can borrow, they should go in for it, but it should come in line with its investment to pay off. And I think we will be fine to do. Thank you.
So we'll take the next set of questions before you answer.
Okay, so my name is Gabo Erica, and I'd like to ask, is it better to invest more in your industrial sector or your agricultural sector? I know investing in the industrial sector can be very expensive, but if you focus more on the agricultural sector, how are you able to manufacture, turn our raw materials into processed goods to be able to export them to gain the countries and foreign exchange?
So a book reviewed by Osborne Ted and David in 1992, entitled Reinventing Government, we spoke about the difference between two governments. We have the bureaucratic government and then the entrepreneurial government, where the bureaucratic government is the one that spends money, and then the entrepreneurial government is the one that earns money. They also distinguish between governance and government. They said governance is the act of collectively solving a problem, while government is the instrument we use to solve this problem. So examination. Currently, I think Ghana is a bureaucratic government where we spend a lot of money. And the proactive measure, one proactive measure is the political trade-off. And I would plead to the ruling party and then the opponents that anytime they come on board, they should strike a balance between being politically expedient and then economically prudent in their policies. And the last submission is, some of us have turned ourselves into monitoring spirits. So we follow Controller and Accountant General comments with the Audit Service and then ICA in collaboration with the Economic Management Team. They said in 2016 that by 2023 we will fully adopt IPSAS. IPSAS is International Public Sector Accounting Standard, and we will prepare our reports with that standard. Up till now, we are still waiting. We are in 2023. So as a student and a spirit, I'm using your platform to tell them that we are still waiting for the implementation of the IPSAS. Thank you.
Okay, John, please take it.
Alright, so the first question was on industrialization and agri. So I will split the question among the panelists to address. And the other question was the fact that banking consultant says that it's going to take the banks about 3 years to recover. Then we also address that. So starting from the agri sector, Laura, what do you think we can do to address that?
I think that it's not bad to invest in the agri sector. It's also not bad to do industrialization. But then, if I had the question clear, you're asking whether one is better than the other. Okay, for a developing country like Ghana, you can't jump from agri to industrialization. So when you start from the agri side, we have turned ourselves, I keep saying we've turned ourselves into a farmland or cultivation land for the most developed countries. That when we produce our raw materials, we come here, we take it away, add value, and then we come and import it. And then with the little foreign reserves, the foreign reserves we have, so that alone reduces our foreign reserves, pushes our inflation level. So if we are doing agri, we should do the right, people back. But when you invest in our rates, every employer employ a lot of people. Right? There are people, a lot. Our agri has been too kind of cardinal people. That the presentation away, we can't do it. By the mechanized way, I think that must be the biggest production of commodities here. The biggest production, and then we can get more for our economy.
So that should take 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute.
So agriculture and the industry, I feel that they are intertwined because if you produce and then you don't process, then it means that when they go to the market, their competitive advantage will be less. That is what it means. You are looking at it from the cost side. So if we are considering the situation that we are having now, then it will be okay for you to start from the agri. But then we need to have the mindset that after feeding our stomach, we need to move from using agri to create wealth. And that is true of industrialization. Thank you so much.
Right, so on the banking sector issue, really what's happening is that we have, for most of the banks, about 50 to 60% of their revenues are coming from their investment in the government securities, and now they are restructuring the government securities. So that is why they are exposed. If you look at the 2022 banking sector report, about 15 of the banks recorded losses. And this is because of their exposure to the DDEP program. Now, it will take time for the banks to recover. The 3 years, I see it as not feasible. But then it all depends on the banks and also the efforts by the government to create an atmosphere whereby the bank's traditional business, which is moving loanable funds to those who demanded, those who need loanable funds, okay, to work and then in the end pay back. Currently, what we are experiencing is that core business is missing. Loan to deposit ratio averagely for Ghanaian banks is less than 40%. It tells you that all the deposits they are collecting from us, less than 40% is going to loans. Significant portion of it is going to government securities, and now the government security is no longer free like it used to be.
Thank you, Ebenezer. You got noted. I believe this was an insightful conversation. My key takeaways are prioritizing what to put in our expenditure, invest in our break, state farms, use the prisoners, right? Use the prisoners. My name is Emma Davis. We're live on Joy News Channel and all our social media channels. This has been the second edition of the Joy Business Town Hall meeting. And our moderator was Dr. Jabir Mohammed. Have a good day.